solicitor who practices from Dean's Court Chambers in Manchester, and the book that I want to talk about is the Community Care Law and Local Authority Handbook. It's not written for local authority lawyers, it's written for all lawyers who are involved in this particularly complex area of law. And what I wanted to do in writing the book was produce a book that between two covers would contain all the information that would be required for those who practice in this area. Perhaps not those who practice on a very regular basis, but those who need access to a document that can give quick information, clear information about the disparate statutes and common law that bear upon community care law as it's come to be known. And it does contain an explanation not only of the substantive and common law, but it also includes all the primary and secondary legislation and also all the relevant guidance from the Secretary of State. So it's what's been described by my publishers as a one-stop shop, and it is that. The content of the book, and it's set out in no particular order, but it starts with a consideration of the Mental Health Act 1983, and in particular the role of the nearest relative, such issues as guardianship and the proper use of guardianship, and Section 117 aftercare. It also has a chapter on capacity in the Court of Protection. The Court of Protection and Community Care Law has been something which has developed really quite substantially over the last 5 or 6 years, so there's a guide to that as well. There's a chapter on the assessment of the community care needs of adults, so that would include, for example, eligibility to local authority social care, and assessment of the needs of carers of those who are disabled, such matters as personal budgets, for example, disabled children, older adults, and also safeguarding issues in relation to vulnerable adults. There's also a chapter on the provision of accommodation by local authorities, which principally turns on the National Assistance Act 1948. There's a section on the provision for older children, that is children who are leaving the care of the local authority. I'm not aware of any other textbook that includes a chapter on that specific area within the covers of those other books. There's a section on finance and charging. That's to say when local authorities can charge for the services they provide and when they can't, how they can recover money if they wish to and when they can't. And there's also within that chapter a full explanation of direct payments, which are still particularly important. There's also a chapter on the division between social services departments, responsibilities and healthcare responsibilities, which is something that often causes a good deal of problems as between those two different statutory obligations. There are now 2 further chapters in it written by my colleague at King's Chambers in Manchester, Adam Fullwood, and the first of those is about social housing, which contains the allocation scheme and obligations towards the homeless, and finally there is a chapter also written by him about the interaction between local authority responsibilities and asylum seekers and failed asylum seekers.